But all right, this is the Team SB Misfit Legion Wednesday night, now Tuesday night call. And we have a very, very special guest with us tonight. We get to hear from, and please correct me if I butcher your last name, because I was like, is there some awesome accent over the O or something? So Dr. Luigi Gratton?
Gratton is right.
Gratton. Okay, good. I'm right. All right. So he is brand new to Beachbody's executive team. So we're hearing from somebody straight from corporate. He is the group vice president of nutritionals, meaning that he is responsible for all of the nutritional products that we offer, such as Shakeology, the performance line, Power Greens, digestive health, the boosts, everything that you guys are purchasing from Beachbody on the nutritional side of things, he is responsible for. So tonight he's going to be giving us a little bit of insight into who he is and why this side of things is so crucial to your guys' journeys. It's crucial to your customers' journeys. And, the big impact that, I'm a firm believer in our nutritional products, but he's going to put a huge emphasis on this tonight and give you guys a little more insight into what we do. So without further ado, please take it away. I don't know if you want to just kind of go from here and then we'll take questions at the end or however you want to do it. But we're excited to hear from you. So you just take the mic.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. So thanks for having me first off. And as you said, I've been in the company just over 3 months. So I joined just when you guys had your leadership event in Las Vegas in 2017. So that was really exciting. Just so you guys know a little bit of history, I'm a family medicine doctor by training, and I've been doing that since 2000. And I trained not only in family medicine, but I got board certified in clinical nutrition, which is why I've been really involved working in nutrition for 15 years. Plus. So my sort of expertise is in treating both kids and adults and the elderly and the young, delivered some babies. I've done a little bit of everything. That's what a family medicine doctor does. But I got really interested in nutrition because I think that so many conditions today, especially in the US, Canada, and the UK, are preventable through good dieting. And of course, exercise. So physical activity and of course, good nutrition is what attracted me to Beachbody. And these amazing products, which we're going to talk about tonight, have been a major part of why I think this is such a great company. And it's really poised for the future, taking care of a lot of people. So you and your team, you sent in some great questions. I've got a list of questions here and I can go through all the questions. This is super informal, so feel free to just cut me off and say, anything you'd like at any point in time, or you can add to the discussion. But I'll stick to the script for now, and then we'll kind of open it up. And like I said, we'll maximize the time because I really want to give you all the information that I've picked up, not only from me working in the nutrition industry for years, but really working with Beachbody in the time that I have. So I'll just kick it off. And if you have, like I said, any questions, just say, hey, I got a question. Just jump on in. All right, this is actually a great question that you guys submitted. The difference between sort of Shakeology and Daily Sunshine, how to understand the differences in the products, and why are they necessary? I really like that second part of the question because I think both products are necessary. I've been drinking shakes for 30 years because I'm an old guy, but I've believed in shakes since the late 80s. I was using them as supplementation when I ran on the track team at UCLA, when I ran on the cross-country team. And I was using shakes as a supplementation after my workout. It was purely for recovery. And I realized they were so easy to use when I was in college, I started using them for daily nutrition and recovery. So I've been a firm believer in shakes for a very, very long time. What really attracted me to Beachbody was the purity of the blend. So I'm going to go through a couple things. You asked about the difference between Daily Sunshine and Shakeology. Let's take a couple things. So I'll try and break it down so it's kind of straightforward and simple. Let's take two products, right? And let's see if you guys can see these okay. Now, think about Daily Sunshine. See that all right there? Daily Sunshine as your 3-in-1 smoothie. It's got the protein, healthy fats, and of course your organic fruit and vegetable blend. So that's your product that's really prepared and positioned for kids, just like we say on the label, for picky kids and pickier parents, right? So that's great. But think about Shakeology as just as Carl Deichler says, your daily dose of dense nutrition. Now this is a little bit more elegant, I like to say. It's a complex shake. I call it elegant nutrition because it's got a lot of cool things in there. but it's positioned more for adults. So the things that, we're going to go through the similarities real quickly between the two. The things that we can compare, they're both very dense with good nutrition, but low in calories. So take Daily Sunshine, it's about 120 calories. And if you take Shakeology, we've got different blends and different flavors, it's anywhere between 140 to 170 calories. But the key similarity between these two, they're both under 200 calories. And when you think of foods that are under 200 calories, that means they're low calorie, but dense with good nutrition. So that would be my first point. That's where they're very similar. They're also both rich in protein sources. So Daily Sunshine's got the organic pea protein, 10 grams. A lot of your customers, when they want to give their kids good protein sources, that's where Daily Sunshine is terrific. And then think about Shakeology, it's about 16 to 17 grams of protein. Now, some of you may be vegetarian, vegan, some like the whey blend. I'm not vegan or vegetarian, I eat meat, I like steak, but I do prefer the chocolate vegan blend. I don't know if you guys love that flavor. It's one of the top selling flavors. So think about the way the differences between those shakes are. 10 grams of protein for Daily Sunshine, 16 to 17 grams for Shakeology. Now we're going to move to fats real quick. They're both relatively low in fats, but they have good sources of healthy fat. And that's what's cool about these products. The Daily Sunshine's got about 3 grams of fat, and that comes from sunflower oil, a great source. And Shakeology has just 2 grams of fat, depending on the blend, but the average is about 2 grams, and that comes from chia or flax. So we've got low calorie, great with, packed with great nutrition, 10 grams of protein or 17 grams, healthy fats, 3 grams versus 2 grams, and then of course, healthy fiber. When we look at the fiber, Daily Sunshine's got 3 grams and Shakeology has 4 grams. And that fiber is also from chia and flax and all these great sources. So when you think about the blends, they're actually really, they're similar in the fact that they've got these pure, fantastic ingredients. They're really healthy. They're both premium shakes, but I think of Daily Sunshine as what my daughter drinks. I have a 4-year-old daughter. She loves the strawberry banana Daily Sunshine. My wife will sip on her blend, but that's really for my 4-year-old daughter. Whereas I, in the morning, will have my chocolate vegan Shakeology, and then usually mid-afternoon, I have a second shake of my chocolate vegan, and I'll put in a little peanut butter. I had some PB2 in there. So if you sort of get an idea of how those two are positioned, it's really easy to talk to customers about the two. Now, part of the question was, why are they necessary? And this is really kind of a broader public health question that I think of, like, why is good nutrition necessary? Clearly, in the countries where we operate, the US, the UK, and Canada, there are major nutritional problems. And this is me speaking as a family medicine doctor. We see obesity, we see diabetes, we see high blood pressure issues. And we're seeing a lot of these issues in kids. Now, we know that Shakeology and Daily Sunshine is not curing any of these medical conditions, but getting on the road to great nutrition helps to prevent and sort of get people in the right zone so they're not dealing with a lot of those issues down the road. So a lot of family medicine doctors like myself, we see kids, we see adults, and we see older individuals, and we're finding that the medication just is not doing it. We just keep adding medicines, and what we want to do is increase their physical activity and increase the good nutrition. So clearly, think about what you can talk about with Daily Sunshine and Shakeology. They're both powerful blends, and they're delicious, of course, and it's important for people's health. So I'll stop there and see if you have any questions regarding the importance of those products. Oh, I want to mention the pricings. I think some of you asked in your questions why they priced in a similar fashion. Well, the blends are, they're uniquely different. One's for kids and one's for adults. But we wanted to make sure that we position them as both the daily nutrition for a kid or the daily nutrition for an adult. So we didn't want them to compete with each other, so we priced them accordingly. So how's that for the first question? Does that make sense? Does that help you guys out?
I have a question for you.
Thumbs up. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I think one of the I don't know if it's a hurdle that I run into a lot, is people want to know why all of a sudden their children can't drink Shakeology anymore, because they had been drinking Shakeology in the past, and now all of a sudden there's this new blend for kids. So was Shakeology never intended for kids anyway? Because for the longest time it kind of had been marketed that anybody could drink it and that it was healthy for essentially anyone.
Absolutely. And it still is, Natalie. It's a great question. So there's no issues with using Shakeology in children. When Isabel designed the Kid Shake, Daily Sunshine, I think she really wanted to, or the company really wanted to make that was a product that was specially for kids, okay? So it's blended specially for kids, and it's not, as I called it, complex when I started. If you think about the elegance of Shakeology, over 60 ingredients. They're all terrific, but a lot of kids will say, well, or a lot of parents will tell you, you know, I might not want this or that in the shake. And so that's why when you look at the Daily Sunshine, if you're looking at the cover, you'll see the non-GMO, soy-free, dairy-free, gluten-free, and we have those certifications. It's really helpful for a parent, especially if you're talking with a parent and they start telling you, I don't know about all these ingredients in Shakeology, if my kid can have them. So totally fine for kids. In the US and Canada, usually in North America, the regulations are a little bit more open for children. If you have business in the UK and you're building a European business, you want to be really careful with your recommendations because they're very stringent with kids' nutrition. And that's why we think designing things that are specifically for kids is better. But absolutely no medical issues, no health, no safety issues. Kids can drink Shakeology. My son, who's young, he likes to sip on both shakes in the morning when we're making our shakes because, if you guys have kids, your kids want what you're drinking, right? They're like, no, I want to have what mom and dad is drinking. So often it's difficult, it's challenging to make the shakes differently, but absolutely no safety issues, no medical issues, no nutritional issues. We wanted to make something that was positioned really well and easy for you to sell and talk about. Cool. Good stuff. Great. And I love the questions, by the way. I love the interaction and the more. By the way, I know Shakeology, Beachbody is like, it's a no-tie company, but I put on a sport coat for you guys because I wanted to represent being a family medicine doctor. I'm licensed. I've got credentials. So I wanted you to know that, I'm representing, but I'm not putting on a tie, okay? So the second question that you had was how the sourcing works on the ingredients. And I think this is one of the most important things when you're all talking to people about the price of Shakeology and the care and the work that goes into Shakeology. Okay, so it's really important. I'll try and break this down into specific areas. But when we order from a supplier, we take a lot of time and a lot of energy to make sure that we're first checking on the quality and safety, because quality and safety is number one first and foremost whenever we're making a product. So that means not only that we're checking the ingredients to make sure, let's say it's organic pea protein, if it's Daily Sunshine, or organic cane sugar, which goes in both, which we can talk about later. But it's super important that we audit those suppliers. So many of you have probably heard of like a white glove test where, these auditors go in with the white glove and they're checking for dirt in the manufacturing facilities. Okay, that may not happen just like that technically, but we do send our quality people into our suppliers' factories and warehouses to make sure everything is pure and really up to standards. So the first thing you should know, a lot of companies don't do this. We have very strict standards that we adhere to, and when we send our quality people out, they're testing for that. That's a really important thing, and that adds to the sourcing and quality. A second thing that I want to talk about is the products being wholesome and efficacious, because we've got to make something that has no artificial colors, no artificial sweeteners, no artificial preservatives, and is sort of GMO free in the terms of no GMO corn, no GMO soy, no GMO canola oil. So some of those things that a lot of other food companies are hiding in their products, we have tremendous transparency. We want to make sure none of that is in the product. So of course, we take real rigorous steps to make sure that the product has a clean label. I want to give you a very good example. A lot of food companies, what they do these days, and it's legal, it's kind of like a little bit of a trick, they find different ways to take sugar and label it as sugar when it's actually come from, let's say, genetically modified corn. Because we make a lot of corn in the US, and a lot of it's sprayed with chemicals and stuff. And anyway, they make these different types of sugars and they name it in a certain way. We are very careful to look for suppliers who are not making that type of sugar, which is the reason why we put in organic cane sugar on the label. I know a lot of you are sensitive to sugar in terms of the amounts, but we wanted to make sure that when you see organic cane sugar, that really speaks to the quality of the shake and the fact that we're not getting a source of sugar that's been sprayed with pesticides, herbicides, chemicals, and you have a lot of confidence. So when you ask about how we choose suppliers, it's done through a very rigorous testing. There's standards that we uphold to, and we want to make sure that those suppliers give us the right ingredients. A couple more points I'm going to make is not only the ingredients being wholesome and efficacious, they have to work. So when we say efficacious and we make a claim, for example, talking about digestion on Daily Sunshine, you'll notice there's certain claims that we can make on the product label. Same thing with Shakeology. Why is that? Because we know that we have efficacy in the product. We're using the right amount of fiber, and we're using the right probiotic. We use something called Bacillus coagulans. Don't have to worry about the scientific name, but just understand that that probiotic is working in the digestive system, and it's a special probiotic that's very protected, so it gets in there. Okay, so you think about the quality and safety, you think about the wholesome ingredients, you think about the efficacy, and we're going to get into the levels of testing that we do in a second. So that's why I wanted to reassure you that a lot of people don't think about it, but it's important you as a coach, you have the confidence that we go through very rigorous standards when we're choosing a supplier, we're choosing ingredients, and we've got to know where they come from. It's really important. So does that, you guys, any questions on that? I think it's a really important thing because when people ask about the price and the quality, you should let them know that we have the best in class and the highest in the industry standards, and that can help with your confidence. Questions on that? All good? Okay. So another question that we had was vitamins. How are they extracted and processed by the body? So I think this is a great question because generally when we're looking at, so a lot of food companies will buy the cheap stuff and they throw it in there and the body has a tough time absorbing certain things. So one example that some of the scientists, when we discussed these questions beforehand, they gave the example of folic acid. Now, a lot of companies, you're going to hear this actually when you're talking to customers, a lot of companies put in kind of the cheap version of folic acid. It'll say vitamin B9, the number 9, and the B vitamins include folic acid, but it may say either folate or folic acid. A lot of companies will use the cheap, well, I shouldn't say the cheap version, but the folic acid version that is not readily bioavailable. It means that it doesn't get absorbed by the body as well, and it doesn't get into the tissues, okay? We use the version called folate, which is superior bioavailability, means that you absorb it very well, and then your body can convert it to the active form of folic acid. And that's really important for making red blood cells and all kinds of stuff in the body. So just one example, when you look at vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, all these things that are on the labels of the products, we want to ensure that we're using the right forms of them. I'll give you another quick example and we'll move on to the next question. Magnesium. When I first came to the company, I was really curious to see the form of magnesium that we used in some of the products. And as soon as I saw magnesium citrate, like citric acid with a C, I knew that we were using the best-in-class ingredients. You'll see if you go to any vitamin shop or GNC or any, let's say, store, your favorite store, look in the supplement section, look for a magnesium bottle, and look what type that you'll see. Most of the companies are using cheaper versions of magnesium. We use magnesium citrate, which is a really bioavailable form and works really well. So these are just some examples of using very pure forms. A lot of companies will use the less expensive, cheaper form, because they're trying to cut costs, but it has an impact on the body. So any questions with the vitamins, minerals, how we source them, and the purity of those? Good? Cool. Okay, great. So this was actually one of my favorite questions because I didn't know this till I got to look it up. And the question was, how long does it take to make a bag of Shakeology from start to finish? This was a great question, by the way. I don't know which of you submitted this, but it's a really cool question because I thought, well, it probably takes 10 seconds to fill a bag of Shakeology and we're off to the races, right? Not so. The quick answer is it takes several weeks to make a bag of Shakeology. I'm going to explain why. Because there's a lot of testing involved. Now, when you hear about the testing, you're going to have a tremendous amount of confidence. Let's go through a couple steps. Actually, it's like 3 steps of testing. The first thing we do is when we order the ingredients for any bag of Shakeology, or the same thing with Daily Sunshine, or the performance line of products. So whenever you see the ingredients on the label, we order all these ingredients, and they go to something called an ingredient warehouse. This was something I had no idea. When we check for the ingredient warehouse ingredients, we have to make sure that they don't have any bacteria, any weird excipients like random sawdust or heavy metals in there. And we have to trace to make sure that we identify the cordyceps, the mushroom, the schizandra, the ashwagandha. So it sits there for about a week, and we do on each of these ingredients 60, that's 60, independent tests on each ingredient. It's a phenomenal amount of testing to make sure that it's pure. After a week, once we've cleared those ingredients, we move all of these ingredients to the blending facility where they're going to get all put together and put in the package. But it doesn't stop there. At the blending facility, we take all those ingredients. We again check for bacteria, microbes, viruses, anything that can be in there. Make sure it's pure. We check for the identity again to make sure it's reishi mushroom and ashwagandha. And that takes another week, so about 5 to 7 days. After that, we blend it all together and we put it in the bag. The blending usually takes 1 or 2 days because it's a very elaborate process. And then get this, once we've put the final blend together, we take each batch and we do 300 independent samples of each batch. I'll say it again, 300 independent samples of each batch that goes out, whether it's Shakeology, Daily Sunshine, the performance products. And that means we have to taste that, we have to check them again, not only for the taste and the specific ingredients, but to make sure, again, there are no strange things like excipients or things that may have gotten in from the room when they're blending. So over the process from the ingredients warehouse to the point it goes to the warehouse to get shipped to you, there are literally hundreds of tests and thousands of independent samples done. It sounds ridiculous, but it is a very high level of testing, and this is where we stand apart from other companies in the industry. It's an extremely rigorous amount of testing, and it gives you, the coaches and your customers, the confidence that we're testing everything. So again, it's not only the purity of the ingredients, the cordyceps, the cane sugar, but it's the amount of work that we do behind the scenes to make sure that you know exactly what's in there, and more importantly, what's not in there. So any questions on that? I thought that was a really cool question because I'd never heard that before and I didn't know. So usually we say it takes about 2 to 3 weeks, usually several weeks, but it's because we don't want to move from step 1 to step 2 until we've gotten all the results of the testing for the bacteria, the microbes, the viruses, and all the excipients that might get in there. But of course, we make sure the batches are pure. Does that sound good? Does that answer your question? Cool. Okay. So question number 5. How do we choose flavors for Shakeology? Now, this is actually done through a very straightforward, basic process where we do consumer testing. Beachbody is actually one of the better, I'd say one of the best companies in the industry. But when you think about companies that do consumer testing, major companies like Toyota or soda companies or food companies. They want to know what's hot and what's trending with consumers. We do the same thing. So for example, when we launched a new Shakeology flavor like Cafe Latte, that was a flavor that a lot of coaches and customers had expressed tremendous interest in. And that's the reason we choose flavors like that. So it's not really random, like people just dreaming up flavors. We do a tremendous amount of consumer testing, and we find out what's hot, what's trending, what your customers want. And that's the direction that we want to go in when we're offering those new flavors. And of course, when you give us new flavor ideas, it helps. So we always want to reach out to you, the coaches, to tell us that information. How does that sound? Okay? I'm still getting thumbs up on the calls. Okay, cool. Let's see. We have a couple more questions. How do we keep up with in the industry, ensure that we're the best? And that's actually done in a lot of ways. And that starts from our CEO, Carl Deichler, and Isabel, his wife, and folks like Darren, and of course, all the R&D team that I get to work with, and the marketing and brand team. But people work together to ensure that we're the best in class. And it's an ongoing process. So before I came to the company, I know that we had upgraded to organic cane sugar. And the reason why we did that is not because the sugar was bad that we were using before. It's a tremendous amount of confidence in the products that are in the ingredients in the marketplace. So organic cane sugar, as I was saying earlier, when you think about it, we put in 7 grams. There's one blend. Cafe Latte has about 8 grams of sugar. But you guys, do you get questions on sugar when you're talking to customers? They ask you if, why is there so much sugar in the product? It's very high in sugar. You may have heard that before. So first of all, you can tell them, number one, that the product only has 7 grams, except for Cafe Latte. All the flavors of Shakeology have 7 grams of sugar. That's only 28 calories. When you think about that in perspective, it's 1/3 of a piece of fruit. It's very little sugar. So first, educate your customers when they say, how come there's so much sugar on the label? Say, well, number one, it's only 28 calories. Cafe Latte would be 32 calories. Very low sugar, 1/3 of a piece of fruit like your average banana. That puts things in perspectives in their mind. Oh, that's not so much sugar, number one. Number two, tell them it's organic cane sugar. Remember we talked about a lot of this genetically modified corn sweetener that a lot of food companies use. That's sprayed with pesticides, herbicides, chemicals, and that gets into the sweetener and into the product. We want to make sure we steer clear of all that stuff, and that's why you'll see organic cane sugar on the label. So you know it's pure, you know it's healthy, okay? And number three, when you're looking at a Shakeology, let's say you're discussing Shakeology with someone who's asking about sugar and sweeteners, tell them that it's certified with a low glycemic index, which simply means that the small amount of sugar that we put in is a very small amount of load on the body. If you think of sweeteners, candy, soda, those all have high glycemic index. That means it's a huge sugar rush on the body. Shakeology is a low glycemic index product. And in fact, many of the products that we're making have a low glycemic index, okay? So I just wanted to sort of address the idea of how do we keep ensuring that our products are the best? The sweetener is a perfect issue. The way that we want to put in the organic cane sugar, make it easier for you to sell and talk about the products. We want to use a small amount, 7 grams, okay? And we want to make sure that it's a low glycemic index so it's easy to talk to customers, okay? So hopefully that helps in terms of, let's say, the elevator pitch when you're talking about Shakeology. Okay, sound okay? Is that good? All right. So then another question we have is, how can we make the most of Shakeology? And I see one of the executives in the parking lot's waving at me, and I'm like, hey, I'm doing a video. And the question is, how can we make the most of Shakeology? And my answer to that is very simply daily consumption. Drink it every day. I know we reward a lot of people. We recognize people who are 365ers, and I know Carl is big on that. We give awards for people who've been doing, let's say, 365ers for 1 or 2 or more years. I just started in the company, and I call myself a 730-er. because I'm doing 2 shakes a day. I have one in the morning after my morning workout with my oatmeal. Then I do my chocolate vegan Shakeology. And then mid-afternoon, usually around 3:30 or 4 o'clock, I have a second one before I go home to my wife and kids to have dinner. And that kind of holds me over till a 7 o'clock dinner. So my point is, how do we make the most of it? I always think of daily consumption. And I'll mention that for a couple reasons. When you're on the product on a regular basis, there's, of course, the physical benefits that you get, from the adaptogens to the low glycemic index to the incredible blend of really great proteins that we use. All these things fit together and your body feels the difference. And your customers are going to tell you, oh, I'm going to the bathroom normally. I haven't done that in a long time. My skin's clearing up. I feel stronger in my workouts. I'm recovering from 80-day obsession a lot better. All these things they talk about is really important. But another important thing is what I call the emotional attachment. Sounds kind of weird. The emotional attachment to the product that your customers and coaches will get, because they're going to feel like, man, I get out of bed in the morning, and I don't know how many of you have kids. I don't really want to see my son until I have my Shakeology. But I do. I see him, and he drives me crazy in the morning because he's going through his terrible twos. He's turning 3 in May, and he's really going nuts right now. He's going crazy. Throws a tantrum after 11 hours of sleep. But I do so much better when I have my chocolate vegan Shakeology in the morning. It's just how it works. So there's a tremendous, not only physical sort of benefit that you feel, going poop, feeling strength, recovery, but there's also an interesting emotional attachment that I get, because I just feel like I wake up, I go for my shake as soon as I can after my workout. So those were your top 7 questions, but I'm totally open to more questions depending on what you guys want to talk about. So you name it, it's your show.
I kind of have I have another one.
Sure.
So I get a lot from people, and I'm obviously not the professional, so I don't know the answer, but they ask, is it possible to drink too many shakes in a day? Like, can you get a nutrient overload is what people fear. And I don't even know what that means, but I just say, I don't think so. I don't know. Or talk to them about, why do you feel like you need more than, 1 or 2 shakes a day? And typically they think it's going to maximize weight loss or whatever, but some insight on that if you have any.
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. So first off, there is absolutely no safety or medical issue with having multiple shakes a day. When I worked at UCLA for many years as a weight management doctor in their clinical nutrition clinic, we would put people on full liquid diets where they would have multiple shakes a day. They wouldn't eat food. Now, these were a lot of very big individuals who had really advanced conditions, and we would monitor them every week, and they would lose a tremendous amount of weight. And we had people on shakes only for upwards of a year. Sounds kind of intense. Now, that's medical supervision on shakes. We're not doing that, okay, in Shakeology and Beachbody. But I just wanted to give you an example of the extreme spectrum, end of the spectrum, where people are using shakes only. Now, what we do with Beachbody, we go for 1 shake a day, let's say. I like to drink 2 shakes a day. The only thing you want to think about from a legal perspective, because you guys are all business owners, is when you talk to someone about replacing a meal. Technically, the government in the US and Canada and even the UK, they allow people to replace a meal with an actual meal replacement. The shakes are not technically meal replacements, but let's say I have my oatmeal and a shake, that's a meal for me. And that totally is absolutely fine as a meal replacement. If someone's having a shake with some fruit, if they want to blend milk or vanilla, let's say almond milk or organic soy milk, then that constitutes a meal. And that's usually when you hit about 200 and some calories. So can they have, let's say, 2 shakes? Absolutely. You just want to make sure that they're not having like 3 shakes and no food, because technically by law, we can't promote that. Okay. It's absolutely fine from a medical and nutrition perspective, but as a business owner, I want to make sure you're not like, hey, everyone, let's do the full liquid fast at Beachbody. We're not promoting that because we can't. But there's absolutely no safety issue. I have been drinking shakes, like I said, for many years. And when I was really in training, you're going to find, especially if you're doing 80-day obsession, if you're getting into some of the programs that, that we've recently launched, Shift Shop, and you need a recovery shake, you may find that you're doing 2 or 3 shakes in a day. So no problems with that, and you can blend them the way you want. If you want to do a Shakeology, a Recover, like I said, my wife will make the Daily Sunshine for my daughter, and then she'll finish that Daily Sunshine. So she'll often drink that as her morning shake, and I'm like, honey, have a Shakeology with me. She's like, nah, I enjoy this. So it's absolutely fine if you're doing multiple shakes, no problems.
I've got a question.
Yes.
So I feel like there's the rumor. So if something says supplemental facts on the label, that means that you don't have to put all the ingredients on the label, opposed to if it's like nutritional facts.
Yes.
Is that correct? So when we get that type of response or that question, how do we, come back about how all the ingredients are actually right, and why would it be supplemental compared to nutritional?
It's a great question. And actually, that is Allison. So Allison, thanks for your question. So first off, what you just said is, let me give you another version of that. We have to put everything on the label. We have to be absolutely transparent. That's the law. In fact, the law is getting even more intense coming up in this year and the next year in terms of label laws. So when you see food or, as you said, nutrition facts and supplement facts, it simply means the way that a company registers the product. So if we had a shake that we were trying to promote as a meal replacement shake, we would register it as a food. And when you register it as a food, it says nutrition facts. We register our product as a supplement. And the reason why we register it as a supplement is because when you look at the label, you'll see the ashwagandha, cordyceps, adaptogens. A lot of these are very exotic phytonutrients that we consider sort of supplementary in the diet. So we register them as supplements because people don't consider them like ashwagandha, a regular food that you eat every day. So it's really in the way we license the product. But in terms of the putting things on the label, absolutely not true. We have to put everything. We have to be 100% transparent. There is nothing you can hide in there. In fact, companies would get in a lot of trouble if they hide stuff and other companies find out about it. So there's a pretty well-known company called Consumer Labs, and you guys can go online and check them out. And what Consumer Labs will do is they'll take anything off the shelf or from another company, and they randomly test to see what you said, Allison, if companies are not adding stuff that they have on the label or they're putting extra stuff. So just because it says supplement or let's say nutrition, it simply means when it says nutrition, it's registered as a food, or when it says supplement, it's registered as basically a nutritional supplement. So it simply means how we license has nothing to do with the transparency. We have to be 1,000% transparent with every ingredient.
And then it's still FDA approved and everything then, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We have to do what the FDA says is, well, these aren't medications, so you're not going to register the products as medications, but we have to make sure that they're generally regarded as safe, and they call it GRAS, G-R-A-S, generally regarded as safe. So what you will hear from people who know their food and nutrition facts, sounds like you do, people will say, well, it's not FDA certified, but it's FDA GRAS. And GRAS simply means generally regarded as safe, and that means that we, of course, put super safe and high quality ingredients in. So it's a basic thing in the industry. Great question, though. I'm really appreciating these because they're very sophisticated, all your questions, you guys.
I have a question for you, and this is outside of Shakeology and Daily Sunshine, and I'm hoping you can help us out with this. We have the beach bars launching in April, and yes. I was wondering if you could give us some insight for the new coaches on here. These are our new bars that we have formulated, and I know that you're behind these. So I would love to hear a little bit about these and how we can leverage these to our customers, because I know that so many of my customers are using Quest bars. They're using all of the ones they're pulling off the shelf, and I would love to I guess like start getting ourselves ready for this launch and knowing what to expect?
Absolutely. So clearly this is a really exciting thing for us because we're involved in the launch. Now, I have to say first and foremost that we talked about them at leadership back in 2017. So our president, Michael Niemand, did a beautiful stage presentation. I think that was recorded, and that's probably somewhere in the coach office. So you may have seen some information there, or maybe some of your, if any of you or your upline were there, they may have recorded that. So the word is out clearly. And then at Super Saturday, there was probably some information. I think we talked about the bars. I was in Dallas, and we got to train a little bit on the bar. Now, we're really building up for a big sort of launch. So I don't want to give away too many secrets, especially if your call is recorded. And then, I wouldn't want other coaches saying, hey, that's not cool. Luigi launched it on Kelsey's on
No,
call.
we understand. We understand.
But I'll give you some basics. It's really exciting because it's a snack bar, first off. And the snack bar, we think the category is huge. So we think the opportunity for your business is massive, okay? And think about it, because you're asking about how to position and get ready for your business. There are different bars in the marketplace. There are meal replacement bars, and those are usually those big bars that people can take and they'll eat as a full lunch. This is not a full meal replacement bar. So you can already think about this as being a bar that you're going to use throughout the day as a healthy snack, okay? So not a meal replacement the way that a lot of other companies position their bars. I would say number two, without giving too much away, that it's not being positioned as an energy, I would say as a performance bar, like some of those super endurance bars that cyclists and runners are using for a 100-mile bike ride or a marathon. So it's not a power bar type of thing. So if you think about it, the snack bars that you're going to see when you're leaving the store, the RX bars, the Lara bars, those are the bars that we really want to compete against. Because we think the profile, and again, I'm not going to get into it on this call, but the profile is super competitive. You're going to have a hugely competitive advantage when you see the facts that we launch about the bar. And the marketing materials that you're going to have on the bar are going to help you go up against those companies so that we can hopefully get their customers to use our bars, because ours are super healthy, got a great blend of the right proteins, it's got a great source of fiber in the right amount, and it's very low sugar to the point we can actually talk about how it's low sugar. So you're going to see that, but I would say, without giving too much of the secrets away, that it's a snack bar. Don't think meal replacement. Don't think extreme sport bar. So you can kind of think about not, where the competition is, and having the right blend of those nutrients and being positioned in a way that we can talk about the protein, the fiber, and the sugar. And it's the right amount of calories too. We think it's going to sell itself because it tastes so good, both flavors. I'm really tending, I don't know if you guys had it at leadership, or any of your folks had it at leadership. It's really good. And the funny thing is, because I eat a lot of them in the office, they taste better and better and better. So you're really going to love the bar. I think it's going to be a tremendous boost for the business, and it's going to be really easy to promote. How's that sound without giving too many secrets?
Thank you. No, that's actually really helpful, because it's one of those things where we wanted some clarity, going into this launch on how to start plugging it into conversations, because I think because I just get that back all the time from people with their RX bars is actually the one that they're usually going for.
Yeah, and we hear that all the time. This will be really great. And again, of course, no preservatives and no artificial flavors and all the things that we do consistent with the products. You're going to see that in the bar as well. So but we're preparing a really nice deck, so it'll be easy for you to talk about it, easy for you to pitch to a customer, and easy to get your new coaches trained on it.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem. These are great questions.
Hi, I have a question.
Yes. Yeah.
So I know you have history with family medicine, and you've been a doctor for tons of different ages of people. And I personally, feel like everyone could be drinking Shakeology. So, how would you maybe, talk to a patient of yours
that was a little bit older than our generation, because I know like a lot of the people in my family, they just are like, what is this shake? And it's like,
Right.
no, and I need real food and meat and potatoes. So how would you maybe kind of like talk to them about it in a way that it would really benefit them? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally makes sense, Mackenzie. Great question. And so I would first say, having consumed shakes for a long time, shakes have evolved a lot. Like if you stayed in a hotel like 15, 20 years ago, you may not see like a smoothie on the menu. It was kind of weird. It was a weird thing like 20, 25 years ago to have a shake for breakfast. People were like, ugh. And the shakes that we did use when I was in medical school and when I was studying as an undergrad, they were like old school shakes, like the companies like Ensure, Sustacal, Procal. I don't know if you guys have any grandparents, if you ever visited them in the hospital, but they may be drinking like strawberry flavored Ensure that's really high in fat. And those shakes were made, those were the early shakes in the 1980s. And they made those meal replacement shakes because a lot of old people wouldn't eat food because people lose their appetite as they get older. And we when I worked in the emergency room, we'd see older individuals, we call it the tea and toast diet. Like grandma's not eating anything because she doesn't have an appetite, and she's just eating tea and toast, and then she's dehydrated, and we bring her to the ER. So we would quickly give that individual a big old strawberry Ensure. We try and power it down. Those were the old shakes. Now shakes have completely evolved, and now there are over 750 different shakes that we're competing with in the marketplace in each of the countries, like in the US, Canada, and the UK. So to your question, Mackenzie, how do we talk to folks, whether they're young, but especially the older individuals? I would say, number one, everyone kind of understands the idea of a smoothie now. Like if you're taking, like say, a homemade ice cream shake, a smoothie shake, a fruit and vegetable blend shake with kale, whatever they're making, older individuals know that you can blend up something that's liquefied and you can drink it. It's kind of normal nutrition now. Every hotel you go to, anywhere in the world, they're making smoothies, they're making shakes. They're putting protein, they're putting a blend in there. So it is now understood as food. There's nothing really too weird. Now, what I would say is when you're talking to people, try and help them understand that it's all about the ingredients. A lot of companies simply put in cheap, genetically modified protein. Soy or corn is really cheap. They get it for like pennies on the dollar, and then they flood the market with that stuff to fill people up. Those products are they're not really healthy in the sense that they're not adding the premium ingredients the way we do, okay? So I would say make sure that not only you introduce the evolution of shakes, like, hey, shakes are food, smoothies, everyone drinks them now, but you drive home the point that it's about the ingredients. That will give you an opportunity to start talking about the label, saying, hey, look, we use organic, we use pea protein, or we use oat protein, or sacha inchi, all these sort of exotic blends that make us really unique. More and more of your consumers, it's interesting, are moving to sustainable plant protein. Now, it's not that there are a bunch of vegans popping up everywhere. It's not like the number of pure vegans and vegetarians is increasing. What we're finding is that people who eat steak and chicken, like me, are looking for clean labels. They don't want genetically modified corn. They don't want GMO soy. So they will drink a Daily Sunshine, or they'll drink a vegan Shakeology or regular Shakeology because it's a clean label. So I would say first talk about evolution of shakes. Then I would say really reinforce what a clean label means and go through some of the ingredients so that you can highlight those things. Okay, so that's my short answer. I don't know if that helped.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much.
Rob? No, great question. Thanks.
Oh, thanks, Carol.
Yes. Anything else? Any other questions? I'm loving the questions. I mean, we could, and I want to be respectful of your time, and also make sure that if you have anything that you hear from coaches, that you hear from your new coaches that you're training, or things that you may hear from customers, that we can answer those questions, because these products aren't sold on a shelf. Really, you're the shelf. You're the person who represents the product, and you represent sort of the advertising for us in a major way. So I want to make sure that we arm you with the knowledge so that you can feel really confident talking to your customers or training your new coaches and when you build your organization on how to sell the shakes. So any questions, a great question. I love talking about this stuff. So
yeah. So a lot of customers are trying to decide between going the vegan route or the regular. Are you losing anything by not having whey protein in your shake, or gaining something by having the vegan formula?
right. Great question, Allison. So I would say you're not losing anything. We use a wonderful blend of whey plus all of the sacha inchi and the plant-based proteins that you see blended in. Now, one thing you may notice, the only thing, because you're talking about losing, and I wouldn't say it's a loss, but if you look on the label, take a look. I'm going to bring up first I'll bring up, let's say, a strawberry Shakeology. You're going to see your vitamins and minerals. You're going to see a bunch of vitamins and minerals on the label. See all those? And they'll say 35%, 40%, lots of vitamins and minerals in the whey blend with a black label. Okay. Now, when we go to the vegan, Carl, Isabel, and Darren were very specific. You're going to notice fewer vitamins and minerals. See that? It's a much smaller sort of the panel of vitamins and minerals. And the reason why, I think Isabel was very specific about, if you're using the vegan blend, a lot of your vegan customers are true purists. They want to make sure that they can minimize some of the ingredients and they can add their own spinach, kale, fruits and vegetables, which themselves naturally have vitamins and minerals. So the reason why we specifically designed the vegan and the black label whey slightly differently with the vitamins and minerals, the protein is the same. We have whey in one and plant-based is in the other, pure plants, but it really comes down to the vitamin and mineral difference that your customers may see on the label. So if they ask, hey, how come this is lower in vitamins and minerals, you can just purely tell them, simply say, well, we understand that a lot of your customers are going to be looking for, they may be vegan or vegetarian, and they want to add their own fruits and vegetables, which themselves are going to have the vitamins and minerals. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but what if, like me, like you said, you are as well. I'm not vegan. I just drink the vegan formula. Should I be getting, more vitamins than, should I be switching over to regular, I guess?
Oh, right. No, you don't have to. I think let's say if you're having, well, I'll drink my two, but if you're having your chocolate vegan Shakeology, and if you're adding some things in there, like I said, I'll add my PB2 and I'll put some cinnamon in there. But throughout the day, you're getting a significant amount of vitamins and minerals, whether you're using the Beachbody meal plan or you're doing your own thing, you're most likely getting a wonderful assortment of vitamins and minerals. So you're covered. I like to think of my shake as a great first step, a cornerstone for my nutritional foundation, that I'm getting a lot of those vitamins and minerals, protein, fiber, and nutrients that most people are not going to get when they're walking around and going to work. But yeah, you don't have to worry. You can drink your vegan Shakeology and you're getting plenty of vitamins and minerals, and you're also going to be getting those in your food throughout the day. Good stuff. Great question.
I have a question about breast. I have a friend that is breastfeeding, but she's wanting to jump on board. She's just a little on the fence. I think she was concerned about mixing her postnatal vitamin with the Shakeology and maybe getting too much of anything in particular. Mm-hmm. Is there anything I can tell her to maybe make her more comfortable?
Yeah, great question, Alex. I love it because I'm seeing all your names pop up. By the way, my middle name is Luigi. When I registered in the company, they put my legal name Rodolfo, which means Rudy in Italian, and Luigi's my middle name. So you're probably wondering, like, who's the Rodolfo guy on the computer? But thank you, Alex. I could see each of your names pop up. To your question, think about the difference between nutritional supplements and food versus pharmaceuticals and drugs. When pharmaceuticals and drugs are processed and produced, they're made in what they call the pharmaceutical range. And that range is simply where sort of drugs operate, and they're very tested and regulated, but those can be sort of overdosed and used in extreme quantities. So there is a pharmaceutical range and there's what we call the nutritional range, which is really low. And that's why if I ate a bag of carrots, or if I had lots of cereal or lots of food, you can't really overdose on foods or supplements because there's really no issue. So if someone is, let's say someone's breastfeeding and they're worried about, let's say, vitamin A or vitamin D, any of the fat-soluble vitamins, a lot of those fat-soluble vitamins, they get into the fatty tissues. That means the fat tissues in the breast. And that's where moms make milk, clearly. And so if there's a buildup of very high amounts of certain vitamins, they want to be conscious. We don't have that issue with any of our products. We are very, very low and well in the sort of conservative nutritional range, and we don't mega dose on anything. In fact, if you just take a look, let's even take vegan Shakeology first, and I'll just take the fat-soluble vitamins that, let's say, a breastfeeding mom would talk to her doctor about. We'll go through vitamins D, A, K, and E. So there's vitamin A, 104 international units. That's only 2% of the total daily intake recommended. So they won't have to worry about going well over like 100%. For vitamin, let's say that's vitamin A. And if we look at vitamin D in the regular Shakeology, if they choose that, they're going to see about 400 international units. And that's going to be about 100% of their use. So if they're having one Shakeology, they're probably getting sufficient vitamin D, but they're not going to have to worry about mega dosing the way a lot of people are taking 5, 6, 700% if they're using other supplements. So no issues, but what I always say from the medical standpoint, absolutely fine, safe, fantastic. From the legal standpoint, as a business owner and a coach, as you build your organization and you're recruiting new people and training new people, always make sure they talk to their doctor, because that's a training thing that will carry through your organization. And there's a very easy way to talk to the doctor. You simply tell your customer or your new coach, go to the doctor. They can bring the product if they want. If not, just download the label for free online. They have the label and they simply ask the doctor, is there anything on the Shakeology label that you don't want me taking? Now that's an active question, and your doctor is going to have to read the label and look for all these, they're going to look at all these great ingredients and say, looks terrific. Clearly there's no medical issue, but we want to make sure that you are training your coaches to teach their pregnant moms to talk to their doctors. So the important thing is no issues, absolutely safe, but make sure they clear it with their doctor and teach them how to talk to their doctor when they're using the products. Now, I will say this, we don't want anyone losing weight, tremendous weight when they're pregnant. Okay, so we know if they're nursing their baby, that's great. People are losing weight and they want to get active and all that stuff. But if you are talking to a pregnant mom, and we always want moms to gain weight accordingly. That's what we do as physicians. We check their weight. So please make sure that if you're recommending the products, have them talk to their doctor, especially if they're pregnant, no matter what stage of pregnancy, because that's where we really want to be specific, because we don't want to encourage weight loss. We want to encourage the right amount of weight. Okay? So I always get really, we always want to make sure from a legal perspective, you're covered. From the medical and health perspective, we know the products are amazing, and we love talking to folks about it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Great questions. So I want to be respectful of your time. I know, oh yeah, go ahead, Alex. It was, I don't know if you had another question. I know it's 6 o'clock. I'm okay, but if I don't want to keep you guys here all night, especially if some of you are on the East Coast and if you're staying up late.
No, we totally appreciate your time. And honestly, you have given us so much. And if anybody else is like me, there's like 5 pages of notes to go through tonight. So
Great.
Honestly, thank you so much for giving us your time. We seriously appreciate it. You can have your shake before you go home to your family now.
I did have mine too. Now I'm going to go home and have dinner.
No, seriously, we appreciate your time so much. Thank you so much for coming on last minute. We really appreciate it.
No problem. Like I said, Isabel is the super trainer. I've learned so much from her. So I'm simply, the fill-in, but I am excited that we're going to be training a lot more, and I'm hoping to train a lot of you and, your organizations around the world, to make sure that we can give you simple sort of points on how to talk about the product. So we welcome your suggestions, and of course, we'll do follow-up training calls for you and your coaches anytime. So, and thanks for your attention, all of you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Everybody, you guys have a great rest of your night, and we will see you next week. Thank you.
Take care. Have a good one.